What's going on, guys? My name is Kyle. I'm a full-time reseller. I'm gonna bring you guys along, pick my orders. I get 25 today, 2 on an old eBay and 23 on a brand new eBay. Switching my eBay, so I have 1 sports cards and dedicated just to sports cards, but we still have some straggling sales coming through on that. 2 this time. And then we're gonna have 23 on the new eBay. So pretty excited about that. That was a decent weekend for me. So my eBay's been pretty slow. I'm a full-time reseller, and kind of talk to you guys a little bit about full-time reselling and kind of what to expect. So one of the things I ran into when I first started doing the eBay reselling was the fact that it's replacing not only my income, which I was able to easily do, but it's also replacing the eBay income I had coming previously being part-time. So most full-time resellers are not going to just jump into being full-time. They're going to be part-time as well. In my old job, I was making close to $100,000 with my bonuses. If I had a really good bonus, I could make over $100,000 for the year. And if I didn't have a great bonus, I was in that $90,000 to probably $95,000 range. So I had a pretty good income. My eBay business eventually got to the point where I was making about $30,000 to $50,000 a year. So I was making a healthy amount of income just on my eBay as well. So replacing both salaries, because that's pretty much what it was, is a little bit more difficult. It's not something I really thought of when I quit my job and went to full-time. We had a good amount of savings. We knew it would be a little bit of a struggle in the beginning. We also have a pretty extravagant lifestyle, I guess I would say. We have a nicer house, a lot of debt. So I was going through our debts, and we do have most of it is tied up in our house because we just bought this house about almost 2 years ago now. Actually, it might be to the 2-year mark this month. This past November was the 2-year mark. But we're close to $700,000 in debt. So when you think about it, that's absolutely insane. However, the majority of it is the house. I do still have some student loans. I have a truck and a car payment. I'll talk a little bit about that later on. Just a little bit of a goal of making things a little bit more comfortable. I also send my kids to daycare, and daycare is crazy priced. We spend close to $600 a week to send our kids to school. So, all these expenses are kind of coming to a head, which is nice. But it's definitely something that, happens when you're full-time, when you go full-time. All of a sudden, all those things that lifestyle you had, the things that you were doing, it might be a little bit more difficult to maintain them. Some people might have to cut things. We really tried not to cut anything. And luckily we haven't had to, but it does definitely make you think a little bit more about it. And, you're spending a lot more. So placing those 2 incomes has definitely been a little bit chaotic for me. Start pulling a couple of these orders. So first order we have is, these are 4 drawer pulls. These are like a brass. They're pretty lightweight. It's like almost like a tin-like material. But I think they're completely brass. Those sold for $15 plus shipping. Those are actually on both my eBays. So I'm kind of fortunate here. I just moved those over to my new eBay. My old eBay had them. Sorry if you hear some dogs barking. My old eBay had them, and I could not find them to delist them. And I thought it was weird that it wasn't on there, but there are some items that were bought and returned and just never got back on there. So I was thinking that maybe that happened. However, they ended up getting an offer on my store and sold them on that one for the price that I had just relisted them on my new eBay. So was able to take them off my new eBay and avoid any issues going forward. Those sold for the $15 plus shipping. Got a little Mickey Mouse Squishmallow in a Santa hat, so kind of the perfect time for that. Got an offer for $5 on this. This is 101 bad eBay reselling here. So a $5 offer. My shipping on this is high. I've actually changed my shipping philosophy. I used to just do calculated shipping, put the item's weight in there, or what I thought the item's weight would be, and then go from there. But the eBay, it's just too far off. Like if you want to have the, normal shipping, where it's not the exact shipping that you pay, it's definitely a little too much for people to be paying. I've changed my philosophy. So if I have like an 8 to 12 ounce item, even a 14 ounce to probably a pound, I'll put it at a 4 ounce rate. Generally speaking, it's going to be, I'll make $1 or $2 on the shipping, which is ideally what I want, because I want to pay for the box if I do use a brand new box, if I can't find a recycled box that works. So I want to make sure that I have that ability just to kind of cover the box cost. But I also want to keep myself competitive. And the other thing I didn't want to do was just do a flat rate shipping. I've heard people doing flat rate shipping. Problem is UPS always changing it. USPS is always changing it. So I don't have to go in and kind of always compete, especially when, price changes happen. I don't want to all of a sudden have big gouges in my shipping. So they go up with the price jumps, but they also are more competitive than the people that are just pricing at the ounce. But got a $5 offer on this. I figured I'll make a little bit of shipping on it. So I took it. Most of those items are always going to seem like they're always going to be the ones that have an issue. So generally something I try not to do, but I was at the point where this was going to be donated or I was going to sell it. And I chose to sell it, even though I think that could be a mistake. Sometimes, those, for whatever reason, there always seem to be the problems with reselling or with sales, small sales. Next one that we sold, another plush. So moving 2 plush for me is huge. I am very slow at selling these. This is a big blue bug. It's kind of like a mascot in Rhode Island. If you drive into Providence, Rhode Island, you'll see him. He has like a big statue kind of thing. This sold for $8 plus shipping. So nothing too crazy on him. But that actually just came in today. So just as I was walking in to record this. Next thing we sold, this is an Archie comic. This sold for $9. I'm going to post it here. I had when I was first starting this store and kind of transitioning to the new store, I was moving things over. I used a piece of paper that I essentially write what the item is and then put the location on it. I lost one of the pieces of paper. So there's some items that I cannot find right away. So I have to do a little bit of digging. That unfortunately is one of them. But that's sold for $9 plus shipping. Someone came in and bought 3 different Hot Rod comic books. So these are all Charlton comics, older comics, 20-cent comics, 12-cent comic. These only sold for $5, $6, and $7. But the person wadded them all up. He sent me an offer on every single one of them, but it was 99 cents off each. So I did for $5.99. He sent it for $5, $6.99, $6. So figured I can move all of them and have it all in one shipping. I am A-okay with that. Next item we sold, we have this New England Patriots license plate right here. So this sold for $14.99, commercial license plate, plus shipping. Any license plate eventually moves. You're not going to get a lot of money, and you got to make sure that it's older than 3 years. So really what you just got to do is make sure that you look at the registration, if there is a registration. If not, find out when the plate, you have to look at the plate, and I look at to see when the last year that was, because you got to make sure the year is in your eBay description, or I put it in the title. I make sure it's in the title. As long as it's in the title, you're good. I had one trailer plate from Massachusetts. It was really old. It looked cool. I got hit for a policy violation on that because I didn't have the year on it. And talking to eBay, essentially they just told me you have to have the year in the title. It has to be 3 years past due. So make sure you don't list anything that's within 3 years. I have a couple plates that, because I get them a lot from storage units. So I have a couple plates that I'm just holding on to eventually resell. But waiting for that to happen. I'm waiting for those to age into, I guess I should say, because they're newer plates but don't have stickers on them, that kind of stuff. So next item we sold 3 of these. They're Star Wars figures. I'm not a big Star Wars person. I don't know who they are, but these are the vintage Kiner ones, 1979. They are in pretty poor condition. So broken saddle, broken rope. You can see the either the actual piece of it, the saddle, or there was a rubber band on it, but it melted on it. This one's missing his saddle. Little door for the guys to ride in. And then this is the third one. All kind of yellow, nothing great condition-wise. Sold those for $20 plus shipping. I get those from a warehouse buyout, from just a contact I've made doing this. That's another thing going full-time that I felt confident in, but I am quickly realizing that you need a lot of inventory, moving it quickly, kind of learning a little bit about how to source, how to get more. I've been doing it for 8 years before this. I did very well with sourcing. This is my first pretty poor year, and one of the reasons, the main reason, is why I quit my job. I quit my job so I can spend more time with my kids, and I just didn't do a ton of yard sales this year. I didn't do any estate sales. My kids had soccer games, baseball games over the weekends. I quit my job to spend more time with my family, so missing those opportunities wasn't really in the cards for me. I wanted to source other ways. So one big thing I'm going to be doing is more storage units. I recently just got a trailer and have been able to use it once, but been looking for some good storage units to buy now. Ones that are further away where I can, do just 2 trips, maybe 3 trips rather than 100 trips back and forth with just my truck. So trying to get more inventory, get a little bit more going, has definitely been a little bit of a change, I would say. Because, you know, when I had my full-time job, if I didn't go sourcing, it was no big deal. I still got my income. But you're definitely feeling it now. Obviously, it's an obvious thing when you're doing it, but it makes it a little bit harder because I didn't have to on the weekends, provided I wasn't working, which unfortunately I was doing a lot of there. I didn't have to decide whether or not I was going to go eBay sourcing or if I was going to go to my kid's game, because I was going to go to my kid's game no matter what. Now I'm looking at it like, okay, now I'm not going to make any income. That's my job. That's my livelihood. I'm not making money, or go to my kid's game. And it makes it a little bit harder to justify not going to your kid's game, or going to your kid's game. I'm still going to do it. I've been making enough money where I don't have to worry about it, but it's definitely something that has weighed on me a little bit. Because as a full-time reseller, you kind of just feel like you're not doing enough. You should always be selling. You should always be listing. You should always be doing this. I find myself working later than I normally was prior. So it's definitely been a little bit of a curveball. I'm super competitive. I want to do well. I have goals to eventually get a warehouse, get employees. I want to be able to go on vacation and not go into a store vacation mode. I want to go on vacation and know that there's one or two people I really trust that are sitting there and moving this thing along with me. So I'm over the next year, my goal is to partner up with someone or yeah. So by partnering up with someone, it'll give me a little bit more flexibility to hopefully do those things, get some more vacations while the store is still going, and hopefully have some, start off with maybe like a part-time person listing, really teach that person. But when you're doing that, you need income. You need, I would probably, the way I would think to start it would be having whatever space I'm going to be doing, and then, so we'll see. We'll see kind of what happens there. I do want to try to grow, as I said, but see what's going on. All right, so kind of got interrupted there. My dog started barking because the other dog's barking. But yeah, as I was saying, kind of like looking to get some employees. I really want to grow this business. I'm competitive. I need to make some goals. So in my industry, I had a ton of goals, and I've kind of gone away from that a little bit. So going to be developing a couple goals for myself, things for targets for me to hit, and really things that are I need to have goals that I can achieve, that are attainable and are trackable. So that's the one thing I've been kind of missing. I've been doing things that doing spreadsheets where list 20 items a day, do this, do that. And they're just task goals. They're great. They keep me on point. I can look at my sheet and be like, oh, I wish I did this today, or, oh, I fell short on this. But it doesn't really hold me to an actual number goal of what I'm looking to do. Number goals are something that I did a lot in my previous job. So I would love to get something more like that going on in the near future here. Next thing we sold this grunt. It's just like a G.I. Joe figure in box. The box is pretty beat up, nothing too crazy condition-wise. The plastic has a little bit of weathering to it, I guess I would say on it, but not in the best condition. I've had this for a while. This has been dropping the price. Put this on a 20% off sale, and it sold for $6.40. Next item sold for $6.40 as well. This is one of those items that came off the sheet for me. So I'm gonna have to do a little bit of digging. Gotta go through my totes. Don't see it instantly on the front of the totes. Nice thing about the clear totes is you can see inside them. But I'm gonna post it up here. $6.40. It's like I think this was made in the Boy Scouts, a vintage Boy Scout thing that was made. It's just like a wooden totem. Nothing too crazy. It was 14 inches tall, so cool little decor piece, but nothing too insane. I have all these wrestler figures inside a big tote. So I pulled the two wrestlers I sold today. George the Animal. This is from the 80s. I want to make sure I say this right. I said this wrong before and people made fun of me. 80s, yes. So an 80s figure. Lots of paint transfer. As I said on my previous video, if you guys saw that one. Probably not my best buy. The other items on that buy were really good. But the wrestling figure is not the best pickup I've ever had here. Getting back to that Christmas season, I've sold almost all my Christmas stuff is almost sold out, which is unbelievable. I sold so much of this in October. I wish I had more, which is a real weird thing to say about Christmas. I'm definitely going to be putting more aside and doing more totes. The only thing that hasn't been selling a ton of is the ornaments for me. This thing's upside down right now because she fell out. But it's just like a little angel Christmas topper. I did test it. It does light up. Everything's working on it. That sold for $11.39. It was on a discount. It probably shouldn't have been on a discount because I got that last year, and when I got it, it was after Christmas. And I just got to the point where I'm doing everything after 90 days I'm trying to sell. So I think what I'm going to do is Christmas stuff, I'm going to put in totes, and I'm not going to list until June, July, Christmas in July kind of mentality. Start listing all those, and then I can really, like, you know, have an idea of, okay, they've been listing for this long, and I know it's time to discount them or not. If I need to kind of go through a full cycle, I think, or at least get close to that full cycle before I do that. Next thing, this is a Gujitsu. So these vintage 91s aren't too bad. This guy's eye pops out when you squeeze him, kind of like a gel-like substance. This sold for $15 plus shipping. I had a lot of these that came from a storage unit. Some of these have done really well. Some are worth like $40. I had ones on card that went up in that $50, $60 range. Only a couple of them. Most of them have been loose, but a $15 sale there. Very happy to see that one go. Next thing we sold is this Thor comic book. Once again, came from a huge comic collection. I am slowly getting rid of these. I'm not a big comic person. Don't really enjoy doing comics. Sold for $12.99 plus shipping on that. Right after that, we sold two more comics. These sold for $15.98. Got Hot Stuff and Monsters on the Prowl. So another two comic books, $15.98. These ones weren't in the best condition. Most of these comic books from this lot aren't in too bad a condition. I'm downplaying it because I don't know a lot about comic books. I don't know a ton about their conditioning. I see people putting like grades on there when they're not graded. I'm very good with that with sports cards. I can kind of give you an idea of what I think it's going to be with a sports card because that's what I'm really into. But when it comes to the comic books, I definitely struggle a little bit here. So I'm downplaying the condition. I'm not putting any sort of grade. I'm not putting fine, very fine. I'm just putting everything at good on my condition listing. And I'm getting a lot of feedback of people that are saying the condition's better than they thought. So I'd much rather have that than the opposite, where people are upset about the condition, getting negative reviews or even neutral reviews. Just really trying to avoid that. Next thing we sold was this vintage Taz. So Taz is the wrestler. This sold for $5.99. So once again, not a big sale. This wrestling buy wasn't my best, but we are slowly getting through it. We have sold a couple at like $30. The rings were good. All the other things in the good, because it was one big lot. Essentially the big lot, everything else I sold. I had Motu figures. I had a Terradome for G.I. Joe. I sold that for almost $450, I think it was, plus shipping. Everything was pretty good in the buy, and they were put in the buy at like prices. Like we kind of put it all together and build a lot. The wrestling stuff was like $600, and that was supposed to be my profit in the big buy. Spent $1,200 total. Everything else will make me my money. But the wrestling figures are supposed to be the profit, and it's just, I'm going to make profit, but it's not going to be anything great, anything too exciting. Next thing we sold, back to the Christmas stuff. This was up top of my shelf, so pulled this one down early as well. Just a lighted house. So I had 5 of these. I'm down, or 6 of these. I'm down to 1. Sold 5 houses this year. Once again, something I don't really pick up too much of. I picked these up in a collection at a yard sale. The guy had everything, and it was like, I think he wanted $15. And the thing I liked about it, it had a lot of small accessories like the villagers, the people, bridges, light posts, trees. Put those in bundles. They're easy to ship, easy to move. Made a little bit of money off that. So happy to see that going. And down to 1. So 1, and I think there's one on my old eBay. I need to take that and get that moved over like today so that we don't run into any issues with it being here next year. Next thing we sold was this Take It Apart. So a little vintage wooden toy game, Take It Apart. I think this sold for $9.99. Let me see. I don't have it in front of me. This sold for, $9.99 plus $5 shipping. This is one of the instances where I do a flat shipping because it's going to be about 4 ounces probably to ship. Nice, quick, easy shipment there. Sold this Fantastic Four comic book. This was up for $20. I sent a 5% offer. Person picked it up for $19. Usually at a $20 bill. I try to put it in a box. The other ones I use, there's like eBay comic book mailers. I use those, and just, they also have eBay they also have eBay envelopes and like cardboard to ship comic books in, and I use those for pretty much anything under 20. Sometimes if it's 15 or more, I'll up it there. But yeah, being a full-time reseller, setting goals. One of the first things I thought of was like, how do I increase my cash flow? And big thing for me is I got to get rid of some of my debts. As I said, I have like $700,000 in debt, including my house. So kind of trying to keep up with the lifestyle I had without taking too much down. My two cars, so I have a truck and my wife has an SUV. We owe $22,596 on it. Our monthly payment for the two is about $772. I put a lot down on my truck when I bought it. And I usually pay a couple extra, all our bills, we pay a little bit extra a month, but we've been kind of talking about possibly taking all those extra payments off of everything and putting it all towards one. So if we're going to pay, $50 here, $50 here, $100 here, mortgage gets about $200 extra a month. Would probably be better just to put it all on one. So I have like $500 going all into one item. So all into my truck, let's say, to help it pay it off a little bit faster. And then I do usually throw extra payments at it whenever we have some extra. If I have a good like eBay week, I'll try to throw a little bit extra at it. So we're really going to focus on trying to pay that stuff down. My goal by my birthday, which is in June of this upcoming year, gives me about 7 months, is to pay off both those cars. Pay off both those cars, I will have $772 left to kind of play with here. And the other nice thing is one of my kids, will be done with daycare. So he'll be going to kindergarten. We've been talking about possibly taking the summer off with our kids. My wife's a teacher, so she'll be around. Still have flexibility to work and do that. But my kids' daycare cost is almost $600 a week. So we were paying some people's mortgage payments. In my old house, our mortgage payment was $1,300. It's almost double what my kids' school is. So we would love to try to get into maybe a situation where we get rid of the two cars, and then, so we're looking at least $1,000 if my daughter, she might be doing something different with her daycare next year, with a program she might be going into. So we could potentially save anywhere from $1,000 to $1,300 a month by just paying off the cars and the changes we're going to see with my son and possibly with my daughter. So gives me more flexibility. Obviously, if have an extra $1,300 a month, I can make more buys, I can do more stuff. I'm going to be looking more into investing that payoff amount to pay off other loans. We have two other loans in that like $20,000 range that I would love to pay off. One's my student loans, and one's just another personal loan that my wife and I had during our move. So I would love to pay those two off, and that would give us another almost $1,000 in payments, or would give us another $1,000. So we'd be at like $2,300 in payments, and that would be the goal for the end of the year, is to get those two down. That one's gonna be a little bit less realistic. The eBay business will really have to pick up if I have that possibility. But that would kind of get me where I need to be for the business. Right now, I feel like we're hemorrhaging money just because of my lifestyle previously. Sorry, pulling up my tablet again to finish off the rest of these orders. I think I have like 5 left. So kind of getting into there, but it's definitely not been the easiest road I thought it would be. As I said, I'm very competitive. I'm really good with sales. I've done really good with sourcing this year. I've made a couple connections, stuff like that, which will greatly help me out in the long run. My sourcing's been horrible this year as far as like yard sales and stuff like that, because my kids started soccer, started sports and baseball. So my daughter's now doing dance, not on the weekends, on Mondays, but I just have other activities I wanted to do. The main reason why I quit my job is because I saw the writing on the wall where I was gonna be there a lot more. I wanted flexibility with my kids. So just a little bit of a change. When I had the full-time job, if I didn't pick, it really didn't matter, where now it does. So just keeping up with that flexibility has been a little tougher than I expected as a full-time reseller. Sold these two Kenny Chesney CDs, both sealed. Both the plastic one has some damage to it. $14.75 plus shipping on that one, or not $4.75. So once again, one of those low sales that should not be listed. I should have just gotten rid of it, but ended up moving it. That was cross-listing from my old eBay, was very easy. Essentially, I was just taking the listing, changing some things to make sure it looked right, and then dropping the price. And it was essentially a copy and paste to the new eBay. So it made life like that a lot easier, but I got listings up very fast, repictured it, made it a little bit more professional, a little bit cleaner. So a lot of these that should probably not be listed, I did move over, and I think at some point I need to readdress it and just see if I'm really want to deal with this, because once again, CE cracks a little bit more. They say the damage is different. For $4.75, not worth the headache. So this is pretty cool. It's like a Boy Scouts wallet. So brand new, it's never been used. Let's see if I can find what this says. Yeah, so it has like this little manual, official Scouts uniform in it. Never used, great condition, $14.40. So I thought that would go a little bit higher when I found it. I thought that was a really neat item for like a Scouts collector, but didn't sell quite as high as I'd been hoping. Next thing we sold is a Wilson golf club. So Wilson golf clubs are obviously not the best brand to have. It's a little wedge. It's gonna be a little bit darker over here. Little sand wedge, harmonized. But this is a copper club. So I think that's really the only reason why I listed it. It sold for $15.99 plus $10 shipping, all my golf clubs. All my wedges I do $10 shipping. Usually I can get them shipped to under $10, maybe if it's going across the country, $12. But for the most part, they're kind of in that $8 to $10 range. Drivers, I do $12 flat rate, and then sets I do $15. So I've had success doing that. It sold actually, so $15.19. For some reason, it's listed at a $12 shipping, so I'll make a little bit of money on the shipping as well. Adam 12, I think this is the first time that this was done as a comic book on the Golden Key. Not bad condition. Obviously, there's that black stripe going in the front, but the rest of the book isn't really all that bad. Saw that there was one sale of a book in really good condition for, I think it was like $35, I want to say. So I figured mine really good condition with the black stripe in it. I'll do 25, and it sold instantly. So it moved very quick. Last thing I sold was this Marvel comic book. It has the D on it because I think I have 6, 7 copies of the same book. Try to label it, make sure that they're going to get the book that they saw pictured. This person actually asked me if it was the same book that was pictured. So told them that yes, it was, and they ended up making the purchase. So that was nice. But that's everything that sold. No sales on Poshmark, no sales on Mercari. My Facebook has been very slow. I might actually end up selling, I don't know if you guys can see this or not. There's a giraffe, a little wooden rhino, and a little elk. I had someone message me about those. This girl actually came and bought some safari stuff from me before. So I think it might actually be an okay sale to get out the door and kind of slow moving stuff out. And I might just like ask her for her number, and anytime I get safari stuff, just text it to her, because seems like a collector of it and someone that's very into it. But none of those extra sales. So that was a little bit disheartening over the weekend, because that stuff has been picking up, especially my Facebook. But really got to revisit that. But get this all packed. Being a full-time reseller, I love it. It gives me the flexibility. But it has been a little bit of a struggle. Just some of the key ones that I've had. There's tons of different things that, as a full-time reseller, you're going to run into, you're going to have. Even things like today, I took my daughter to the doctor's office at 8:30. Got her dropped off back at school around 9:45. I didn't start my day until 10 o'clock. So, and then I'm going to pick her up early today because she has dance. So I'll be done by 3 today. So I'm only working from 10 to 3. Now I'll work tonight during football, and I will watch the game while I'm listing stuff and doing things like that. But it definitely kind of like little small things add up. You don't really quite think about it when you're making the transition, but those things happen. They haven't been as impactful for me as, let's say, the cash flow, like replacing not just the income, because that's what I had that in my mind covered, but I'm missing about $30,000 to $40,000, I think, a year in sales from what I was doing in eBay. So trying to kind of get that stuff taken care of, get myself back into a level footing, kind of go from there. But this is my first video of doing polls while trying to talk about like some sort of topic or something like that. So if you guys like it, let me know. If not, this is my first time doing a topic, really talking about items while polling, and kind of a little bit of a topic of reselling and just like some of the hardships, I guess I would say, I've had as a full-time reseller. You think it's all kittens and rainbows, but there are things that you don't really quite think of when you first start. But please forgive me if there's some repeats or kind of a little bit scatterbrained. I kind of went off whim here, just kind of seeing what it was like, seeing how this kind of style worked for me. I like it a little bit more when I'm watching videos, so I wanted to do it this way, just to try to get used to. If you guys haven't already, like, comment, subscribe, all that greatly helps me out. I'll catch you guys on the next one.